Welcome back to another edition of the Knight Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary, and part-time co-host / Rutgers beat reporter, Craig Epstein. Got a lot to cover today. Rutgers got another commitment from safety Jett Elad. He is a safety out of UNLV. He's had a long journey to get to Rutgers. We'll talk about him as a player and where he's been before. We're going to give an update on the defensive coordinator role. Richie has some good intel on where things might be heading there. And then we'll talk about last night's disappointing hoops game outside of the crazy performance by Ace Bailey in Bloomington and the loss to Indiana. But first, this podcast is presented to you by Knight and Day Apparel. Hey, Rutgers fans, get ready to slam dunk your style with Knight and Day Apparel. Cheer on your Scarlet Knights this basketball season with our exclusive Rutgers gear. From trend-setting designs to lifestyle garments, we've got you covered with everything you need to support your team in comfort and flair. Stand out in the crowd and show your passion for Rutgers basketball with designs that celebrate every dribble, dunk, and victory. Use our promo code RutgersRivals to get 10% off your purchase. Don't wait. Head to Knight and Day Apparel today and gear up for game day. Go Knights.
So Dark Side's still a thing?
Is what still a thing?
The Dark Side with Harris Simiak on?
Good.
Oh, that's true. Did he trademark? I'm gonna guess he didn't trademark it. So I mean,
That's got to be Star Wars trademarked, right?
oh, that's a good point.
Like, there's no
Disney doesn't care.
I imagine they do care quite a lot, actually.
Oh, then shh.
Regardless, we are also presented to you by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the ways to watch the game and all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. The largest selection of odds from everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, NHL, and UFC. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get a welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so let's talk Jett Elad. Jett Elad is a safety out of UNLV. We broke the news that Rutgers was getting a visit from him this upcoming weekend. I'm surprised nobody else talked about him. He's a 6'1", 205 safety from Mississauga, Ontario, but he played his high school ball at St. Ignatius High School in Ohio. He's got 1 year of eligibility because of the JUCO ruling. Thanks a lot, Diego Pavia. He previously played at JUCO and at Ohio University, spent 3 years at Ohio. On the season this year, he had 84 tackles, 5 TFLs, 1 sack, 1 fumble recovery, 1 interception, and 6 pass breakups. He graded out at a 76.6 overall, which places him at 160th out of 919 qualifying safeties. Again, he's a Canadian native. He was one of the 5 finalists for the John Cornish Trophy, which goes to the best Canadian college football player each year. Daryl Jabome was also a nominee for that. Curtis Rourke, the Indiana quarterback, ended up winning it. He had his best game of the season to cap off the year in the LA Bowl, where UNLV beat Cal 24-13. He had 12 tackles, 1 sack, 1 hurry, 1 fumble recovery, 3 targets on him on the day, 0 receptions allowed, and he had a pass breakup. Really high-level kid. We talked about him this week. We showed his highlights. I'm a big fan of this guy. I think he's a plug-and-play starter. Rich, talk about how this kid, what the path was for him ending up at Rutgers.
Well, I mean, the Canadian thing obviously plays a major factor. Makes it very easy for Rutgers because they can just point to basically any Canadian that's been on the roster in the past. I feel like almost all of them have produced too, which is kind of crazy. I don't remember many misses from Canada. Regardless, so the JUCO thing, he gets an extra year. Now, I need to make this clear with people because everyone keeps thinking that if you play JUCO, you automatically get a year tacked on. Not the case. If your eligibility ran out this season, after the 2024 season, you're out of eligibility, but you played at least 1 JUCO season, you get 1 year for 2025. Not everyone gets it. So, like, say, who was it? DT Sheffield, right? He went to JUCO.
Yes.
He does not get an extra year. He already has that extra year of eligibility for 2025, so he does not get 2026 as well. Could that change? Potentially, but right now that's not the case. Now, Jett Elad's a guy that is going to start and can play either safety position, kind of like what Shaquan Loyal was doing for Rutgers this past season. He's also a really good special teamer. His speed and ability to get to the punter or kicker on special teams is going to help out a lot, especially because we know Greg Schiano loves to try to block kicks and punts. And he's played really good this past season against Power 4 competition. Kansas, he had 6 tackles and half a tackle for loss. Syracuse, he had 10 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss. Also the highest PFF grade on defense versus Syracuse. And against Cal, he had 11 tackles. And you saw the film in our last pod, 2 pods ago, whatever it was. He's just a hard-hitting safety too, man. His instincts are there. He can wrap. He can cover. I know he hasn't done it consistently over the past couple of years. It's more so this past season was his best season. But, I mean, he's a veteran. He's a starting safety. He's a guy that's going to provide a little bit of experience to that safety room because, DK Gilly's very young. We know Kaj Sanders was a true freshman last year. So I'm really hyped about this one. I like this addition. I think that this defense is going to be significantly better than what we kind of expected before hitting the portal as hard as they did, but really good get for Rutgers. That's really all I got right now.
Yeah, I like this pickup a lot, and they clearly were targeting a safety. They clearly need a safety. I mean, look at all the guys they lost. They lost Shaquan Loyal, who started. They lost Desmond Igbenusin, who started a lot of games for Rutgers. Mm-hmm. They also lost who's the third guy? Why am I blanking on his name? They lost Flip Dixon, of course. Flip Dixon has been a plug-and-play 2-year starter for Rutgers out of the portal. So while they get Kaj Sanders back and they have some young guys the staff is high on, like DK Gilly, they need a veteran presence. And it wouldn't surprise me if they go after another safety in the portal as well. But this is a guy that's kind of a no-brainer to start next year.
Also a big fan of his name. I think the name Jett, I think that's just a recipe for success over in these parts. But no, but I think it's also a testament to Greg and just the fact that, the selling point on, I guess, culture and, getting him to buy into what the team could be next year. Because, I mean, to get a transfer when you don't even have a defensive coordinator right now is just like interesting. It's just like, I guess this is the new world of college football. It's just fascinating. And, yeah.
I think you could tell them, kind of say, hey, these are the guys we're looking at, number one. Number two, your position coach is here. Both DB coaches are here, and they're going to be the ones you're working with the most because more than likely your DC is also going to be the linebackers coach. So,
and if you also think about it, he was able to get the staff was able to get Jett to commit before he even made his official visit. So he's going to be on campus today, but to get him to sign ahead of that's just really impressive because in his eyes, why not wait until you actually get on campus and see the facilities, get to meet the coaches in person? Just shows how strong the recruitment job that they did. Because he had other offers. He could have, let me look at his list here. Because Rutgers started following him fairly recently.
Also, anytime opposing writers are complaining about how so-and-so program lost so-and-so, significant contributor, blah, 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 it's always a good sign. I know UNLV sites were posting a lot about him. So,
yeah, actually, he didn't list any offers on his Twitter, but we started following him on December 23rd. He entered the portal on the 20th. But huge pickup. I'd imagine he's not going to be the only visitor on campus this weekend. We haven't confirmed any other visitors as of yet. One we can confirm will not be there this weekend, though, is Bradley Weaver, who we've talked about a few times now, a defensive end out of Ohio. He will be on campus in Madison, Wisconsin this weekend, making a visit to the Badgers. So, bit of a bummer there, but that doesn't mean he's not going to make it to Rutgers at some point, but it's not going to be this weekend.
It hurts. But
let's talk defensive coordinator. So a guy that we had talked about as a potential defensive coordinator for a while now, and Lyle Hemphill, you have an update on, and you also might have an idea of where the staff is leaning right now. Talk about everything DC related, starting with Lyle Hemphill.
Lyle Hemphill, I have confirmed, has not heard from Rutgers, unfortunately. I know we were all kind of hoping for that. He was cheap. He was productive at James Madison. It made a lot of sense to me. You also just added 2 James Madison defensive linemen in Eric O'Neill and Daryl Dengoe. Now, it's unfortunate, but it seems like he is not a candidate at this time. I've also talked to some people. I know everyone loves to revisit the Campanelli stuff. Anthony Campanelli really has no interest in going back to college to be a DC unless it's for a very high-paying, cushy job. Rutgers does pay pretty well. I don't know cushy is the right word for it, but it doesn't sound like he has a lot of interest in coming back. He's an up-and-comer in the NFL. He's the linebackers coach now, I think, for the Packers. He already interviewed for a couple different jobs and coordinator spots in the NFL. I think it's only a matter of time until he's a coordinator in the NFL, to be honest with you. So he really doesn't have much interest in coming back. However, it does sound like one guy in the NFL is starting to lean towards I'd say front runner status at this point, and it's Tim Lukabu, guy we mentioned from the very beginning. Rutgers ties, was a director of player personnel back in the day, left to go be an assistant coach at Rhode Island, only to come back to Rutgers to be the outside linebackers coach. Someone that Greg trusts a lot. Lukabu was coached by Bob Frazier at Colgate, was in the Rutgers player personnel department, coached at Rutgers, is a guy Greg took to Tampa with him when he went to Tampa. And he's also been an assistant coach at several other college football programs as well, between FIU, Mississippi State. Also bounced back and forth between the NFL. Was the linebackers coach for Cincinnati Bengals, and now is currently outside linebackers for the Carolina Panthers. On top of it all, he was a pretty damn good DC for Jeff Hafley during his time at Boston College. So I think he makes the most sense. It sounds like he's probably the front runner at this time. And it also makes sense timeline-wise because the NFL season ends, look at that, 1, 2, 3 days? In 3 days then? Or, 4 if you count Monday Night Football. There's Monday Night Football this week, right? I think.
No, there's not.
No, there's not. Okay, so
it's all on Saturday and Sunday.
All right, so there you go. January 6th maybe could be the day for a defensive coordinator. We'll see. But it makes a lot of sense timeline-wise. It makes a lot of sense connections-wise. There's a bunch more stuff I didn't even mention about Lukabu. He's coached. He's credited big time for Boston College's revival on defense under Jeff Hafley. They put up some good numbers there, was finishing top 50 in multiple categories. They were one of the top 3 opposing passing yards in 2021, one of the top 25 in tackles for loss. Like they're a pretty damn good team, and he's also credited for a certain guy named Brian Burns at Carolina in 2023, as well as Yetur Gross-Matos, both of who ever finished with a total of 22 sacks on the year in 2023 for Carolina. That's a bad Carolina team too, if you remember. So he seems like a pretty good coach, pretty good developer, and someone Shiano trusts.
Yeah, no, it's a guy with a lot of experience, and he'd be a nice pickup, and it would make sense that timing-wise as to why things, are working the way they are. But it would still line up with roughly the time range that we were talking about, the beginning of January, first week in January. So we'll see. I think they'll have somebody hired before the coaching convention, which I think starts on the 11th or 12th. So just stay tuned because it could happen at any moment. But I would imagine after Monday is when it will actually happen. So that's the update on the defensive coordinator side of things. Is there anything else football related before we talk about the hoops game from last night?
Not that I could think of. I mean, they're looking into the portal for everything. It's basically it. They want to tackle. They want a lot of defense still. It's only a matter of time until they start looking into more corner. They're looking in the corners, I shouldn't say. Linebackers, D-tackle. You said potential another safety. I could see that very easily, especially because that slot corner nickel role is kind of open right now.
Yep.
So wait and see what happens. But
yeah, I was going to say that it feels like I remember Mike, you're talking during the season about them. Just look like the groceries comparison you made, where it's just try and get more of what you need, and it's just like that feels like what they're doing. They're just looking at everything at this point. It's just because at this point, the way college football is now, just build your depth through the transfer portal. Just get as many guys as you possibly can get, because at some point, as we found out this season, you're probably going to need them.
Yep.
Ooh, Owen Waffle entered too.
Ooh, good point.
Michigan 4-star defensive tackle, Middletown, New Jersey native, played at the Hun School. A lot of connections here. I was told Rutgers is indeed interested. Younger brother Luke is number 1 or number 2 in the state of New Jersey for 2026. So could be a nice little combo package right there. I'm just saying. But
would you guess that they are a package deal? Like if Owen does end up transferring to Rutgers, do you think Luke would end up going to Rutgers, or that's too early to tell?
I don't think so, because Luke's going to have more options on the table than Owen, in my opinion.
I mean, Owen, he was committed to Notre Dame, then he ended up at Michigan.
Yeah, well,
it's
yeah.
tough to say he's going to have more. They were both pretty high-level kids.
It's So, and in the end, Owen's gonna finish as probably a top 100 or top. Actually Owen wasn't
Luke?
even. Yeah, Luke. I'm sorry. Luke's gonna finish as probably a top 100 prospect. I don't think Owen did. I don't think he was even top 250 when it was all said and done. He might have been close, like top 220 ish. But yeah, Luke is like a freak of nature at that edge rusher spot. Like he is built college ready, 6'5", 250 ish already. I wouldn't say it's a guaranteed package deal, but I would say it definitely helps if you land Owen. Can't hurt.
Yeah, no, that would be a great pickup. Another guy with, I think 3 years of experience, maybe even 4. Did he redshirt this year?
Yeah, he redshirted, so I don't
so
think he played in any games. So
perfect. So 4 years of experience. Guess we'll just have to see where he ends up making trips, and if Rutgers is truly a competitor in his re-recruitment, and that's a big reason why, like, especially in today's day and age, like finishing second in somebody's recruitment isn't necessarily the worst situation, as we've seen time and time again, where Rutgers builds good relationships with coaches and players, never burns a bridge because you're likely to have to cross that bridge again one day.
Yep.
All right, let's talk some hoops. Rutgers went into Bloomington, Indiana last night. Dylan Harper was a late scratch due to an illness. It sounded like he's been dealing with this illness for a few days. He tried to go, but it just wasn't going to happen. So Ace Bailey had to put on his cape. He scored 39 points on 16 of 29 shooting. There was times in the first half last night where I was sitting next to my girlfriend on the couch and just like, oh my God, what is he doing? It just sounded like, I was eating the best meal I've ever had, or doing things even worse that I won't.
You did your Mike
Green
Green impersonations. Bang! Bang!
It wasn't even bang. It's just like, oh my God, like play after play after play, just like in total disbelief. I think Ace had 19 points at half on like stupid efficiency. This was unfortunately the only bright spot for Rutgers last night. Craig, what were your thoughts watching that game and just in general about this team after last night's game?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but we had a little bit of positivity coming out of the Columbia game just because that's what we were hoping this team would be, is a team that had, bench depth and rebounded, at least rebounded and defended at least to an average, maybe even good in the Columbia game. But like this game was just right back to kind of what they were before that, where it's just rebounding and interior defense for this team is just laughably bad. I mean, really, there's no other way to put it. I mean, this team gave up, 18 offensive rebounds, leading to, I think, 34 second chance points. I mean, that's just like, you don't see that again. You don't see that in cupcake games. And this was a Big Ten matchup. And this is against arguably at best a good Indiana team. I don't even think they're that good though. Like, and especially if they lose maybe their best player, Malik Reneau, in the first basically 2 minutes. And it was just embarrassing. I mean, this team just could not. Balo did whatever he wanted. Mabako, there's a name we remember. He had a good game. And it's just like, this is just kind of more of the same. And you get 39 points from Ace, so you get unbelievable, but you literally got basically nothing from anybody else. I mean, your second leading scorer was Jamichael Davis with 9 points. I mean, Ace Bailey can't literally win games on his own. He tried, but I mean, even then, and again, the free throw shooting, it's just like Pike talked about in the offseason that he valued a big part of bringing guys in was free throw shooting. Even Ace Bailey with 39 points, he was just not good from the free throw line. And it's just like just these little things that like we've seen in the past years is now just become exponentially bigger now this year, because this year now all eyes are on them. And it's just the fact that we're sitting here today and it just doesn't feel like Rutgers is even going to sniff the tournament, which is just honestly an unmitigated disaster. Rich,
probably a lot of the same, but what were your thoughts watching last night's game?
If I could pull my hair out, I would have. Like that was atrocious. Like Ace is a god, and that's the first game of Ace that we've actually seen Ace play Ace-like basketball. Like it's it's weird to say that when Dylan's not out there, but like when Ace needs to take over, he can take over. Is he going to shoot 30 times a game? No, we don't need that. But hell of a performance from him. The rest of the team sucks. Like that was just fucking brutal. Zach Martini, I don't even know why would they consider starting him. No offense, he's been ass since like Kennesaw State. Even before that, I would say Merrimack was his last good game. I think what were the numbers? We looked it up before me and Mike before the pod. I think it was 3 of 14 or something like that.
So since the Kennesaw game, he's shooting 20% from 3. This is supposed to be like a dead eye shooter. Mm-hmm. Same thing for PJ Hayes. Since the Kennesaw game, he is 1 for 7. I'm going to do the math here. You can keep talking.
Well, I think he's 1 for 8 his last 2 games. So basically, he's 1 for 8 if you combine his last 2 games. Peter Noble has as many made 3-point shots the last 2 games.
Jesus.
Like, this is a guy they brought in. Once again, it's just like they bring in this guy who we expect is to be a lights out 3-point shooter, which we did see it in the during practices. He was lights out, but he just has no role for this team. Like last game, he played I think almost 11, maybe 11 to somewhere in between 11 to 15 minutes. This game, what was it, 2 minutes? I mean, he didn't even sniff the floor. And it's just like, I don't understand, just how they're using these guys, honestly.
Between Hayes, Durkak, Martini, and Emmanuel, I have 49 minutes of 0 of 10 shooting.
Yeah.
I can't have that. And I don't understand why they started Martini. He's been on such a cold streak. I don't get that. Throw another guard out there. Ace is big enough to cover 4s. And it's not like Ballo even started. Like you would have been fine with Ace out there covering the 4. And I don't know, or put Tyson Acuff as out there more. Like he needs to be. Why isn't he in the starting lineup? Like he's probably your next best option, and that's not saying much considering no one else can fucking score the ball. Like yep. Jeremiah Williams has regressed significantly. I don't know if he just doesn't know what to do when he's not the ball handler. And even yesterday, like he kind of was the ball handler at times. He still didn't know what to do. Jermichael Davis made some mistakes, and actually he didn't play awful, but there's just so many questionable things on this team when it comes to offense. They don't set anyone up for success, so it's not just the players. Like as much hate as Pike is getting for building this roster, it's still on the coaching staff because they're not setting up anyone for success. I can't talk today. Jesus. It's just really bad. Like you got to get PJ Hayes in space. You got to get some off-ball screens on him. You got to get someone cutting. Who else can cut other than Ace? I feel like there's not a single person I trust to cut. PJ Hayes is too slow-footed. Tyson Acuff's coming off a broken foot. Jordan Durkak just ends up missing everything when he cuts. Jermichael Davis is just doing whatever he does on offense. He can't run an offense. No offense to him. He just can't. And then Jeremiah Williams is just, I don't know what the fuck he does. It's just like they get layup attempts and they're just like, yep, brick. Like
I feel like at least once every game Jermichael Davis has a one-on-one and he just goes straight to the basket every time and gets blocked or just doesn't get the layup. Like it feels like it happens at least once every game.
And he can't rebound for shit either. Like Emmanuel is the biggest motherfucker on the court every single game. He is by far the most muscular on the court. And for some reason, he can't put a fucking body on a single person. Like that's fundamental basketball. And I know he just started learning the game a couple years ago. Put your ass on the guy's hip and shove him backwards. I'd rather just him get a technical foul at this point, just so I can see that he does have some aggression to him.
Yeah, no. So some more numbers here. Like for the 2 guys who were brought in to be to hit down open shots. Like since the Kennesaw State game, PJ Hayes is 5 of 21 from 3. That's 23.8%. Like last night again at the rim. If we're not counting Ace Bailey, we were 8 of 15 at the rim. Just like you go through some of these stats, Rutgers got out rebounded 48 to 36. Indiana had 18 offensive rebounds in the game. Somehow Ace had 4 blocks. Like they were all impactful, but it was just like Indiana's night. Ace has that awesome block at the end of the first half. It bounces off the backboard, and Miles Rice, who hadn't even scored a point yet, I believe, in the game, just turns and chucks and hits one of the more insane 3-pointers you're going to see all year. Mm-hmm. It's just and this is a point that I haven't heard anybody talk about, so forgive me if it has. Do you guys think that Rutgers would have won if we had Dylan Harper last night?
No.
I just think it's too much. It's too much of a hypothetical because they would have changed. The whole game plan changes when Dylan Harper's on the floor. So it's just like I just like probably. I mean, the way they played, probably not. But again, it's just too much of a hypothetical.
Instead of 39 from Ace, you probably get 20 something, and then you get.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to split the points,
45, maybe 50, and you're going to just take away points from either Jeremiah or Acuff or something. I still think they lose, but to be honest with you, but. I know I said that they're slow-footed on offense and they're not moving around, but it's the lack of defense, dude. Like, someone fucking close out on the three-point shooters, and then the minute the ball starts moving around too much, there's a wide-open shooter on the perimeter at all times. 12 of 27 from three. Like, you can't let them attempt 27 threes, let alone make 12 of them. Like, that's what, 44%? Like, you gotta. And this is not just this game. They haven't defended the three-point line at all this season. And I just feel like when it comes to having an offense first team, Pike doesn't know what to do. And I'm sorry, like it's at the point where you got to start questioning things a little bit. It's just rough, man. It's been ugly.
I'm just looking at the stats again. They had more second chance points, 34, than points in the paint, 30. It's just crazy.
Because no one can score in the fucking paint.
Yeah, it was just an ugly game. Unfortunately, the ability to not land a quality big man, a quality experienced big man is haunting the team as we thought it would. We thought we had Malik Ewan wrapped up, and that ended up not happening. Losing Cliff, while he hasn't had like a great season for Alabama, he would be a huge help to this defense. Yeah. Just having a legit rim protector presence on this defense would be huge.
Even having Mawat Mag right now would probably be help with that bridge. Feels like it's been.
Yeah, it would. But
that's on him though.
This is going to be tough for Pikel moving forward because you're essentially going to have to build these teams on the fly each year, and they're expensive. As teams like A10 programs, they're going to get like essentially all of their rev sharing money put towards basketball. Like it's going to be tough for Rutgers to play the way that Pikel wants to, and to also be a program the way he wants to. Like the success he's had is because he's brought in guys he saw something in and developed them for 3 years before they really made an impact on the court. While Gio did have some good moments as a freshman, he still was surrounded by experienced guys and like a Corey Sanders, and he was able to develop into that leadership role. Caleb McConnell redshirted, Ron Harper redshirted, like Miles Johnson redshirted. Like these guys, like you don't really redshirt guys anymore in college basketball. So
unless your name is Bryce Dortch.
Yeah, and so I feel for Pikel because like he's probably watching the way he would like to do things kind of die out in a lot of ways. But something's got to change. Like this is like a monumental, colossal failure so far to start the season. Like if they aren't able to make the tournament with 2 top 5 draft picks in college basketball, or the laughing stock of college basketball, like how it's just so disappointing. Like we had so much hope for this season, and we're seeing it slip away. Really, just because of roster construction decisions, and a large part of that is lack of NIL. So I understand why those decisions were made. It's not like Pikel was like, we don't need a center. Like he wanted to bring somebody in, but those guys were not necessarily available to him.
Malik Ewan was committed, was verbally committed. The former JUCO, who, mind you, I want to point this one out. I'm going to yell at some people here. Our board, when I posted that he was coming to Rutgers, half of them said, a JUCO? That's not going to work out. We just got Emmanuel Ogbol. That didn't work out. He's averaging 13 and 8 for Florida State. He was committed, and what happened is he came back and wanted more money, or one of his agents or whatever, his advisor, whatever you want to call him, wanted a little bit more money. Rutgers said, no, we're okay. We're good. We'll find someone else. They didn't find anyone else. They had him committed, the number 1 JUCO. He's averaging 13 and 8 for Florida State. Like people said he was small. He's 6'10". Like he's man.
They listed him at 6'11", actually.
6'11", even taller than that. Like, he must have like Nike sneakers or something, like with the little like heel thing that makes you a little taller. But
You familiar with those, Richie?
No, hey, dude. 6 foot on the license here, buddy. Is that true? No, but do they check? No. Anyway, going back to the A10 thing, VCU just came out and said they're going to pay their players from anywhere from $4 to $5 million per year. Mm-hmm. They're going to have a fucking good team because they're going to pay more for basketball. And I know the tournament seems like it's out of reach. It's not yet technically, and I don't want to sound like optimistic, but you got to win 2 of your next 3 between Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA. And they're all home, so that's the only good thing. But if they lose 2 of those, it's probably over unless you watch this team go and win the Big Ten tournament. And it doesn't. That's
where
matter.
It's feeling like, it's like just NC State did it last year. Why can't Rutgers be the team?
Oh, stop! Everyone's got to stop comparing them to the random Cinderella team. It's not realistic at all. They don't also have a 6'8", 300-pound big man because that guy DJ Burns would probably fucking body these big men.
Oh yeah,
probably.
Oh my God, there's just the lack of offense, the lack of scheme, the lack of any type of set on offense is driving me nuts, man. And this
but
is
even in spite of just the offense is just if they were just average defensively and rebounding, this team would probably win most of their games. 74 points against Indiana without Malik Rana, or however you pronounce his name, should probably be enough.
But they can't play defense without fouling. Durkheim fouled out. Martini had 4 fouls in 20 minutes. Jeremiah Williams had 3 fouls. It's just, I don't know, man. There's no real answer, and the current roster is not built for success, at all, in the slightest. And I give him credit because, he went out and got Acuff, who was supposed to be this, legit scorer, but then he breaks his foot and kind of ruins everything there. PJ Hayes is supposed to be this lights-out shooter and just hasn't really been that at all. Martini was supposed to be lights out, hasn't been that, but they're also not setting them up for success either. I need some type of movement on offense. It's driving me fucking nuts. These guys don't move. It's like iso ball. Here, Ace, go do whatever you want to do. You want to take that stupid fucking Dirk Nowitzki shot? It's probably better than 99% of the other shots these guys are going to take, so do it. Fuck it.
He'll make that, but then he'll miss the 2 free throws. It's just that's just, and I didn't really get. They got the technical foul, and then they sent Ace to the line, but Ace isn't one of their best.
Can fucking shoot.
I mean, no, Lathan was on the floor. Lathan's been a pretty good free throw shooter. Their big men have probably been their most consistent free throw shooters. It's unbelievable.
There's so many things wrong with this team, man.
Yeah, another thing I didn't get. So Dylan Harper was under the weather for like you said, the last couple of days. Why did you put him on an airplane? I mean, putting a sick person on an airplane with the rest of the team, it could, God forbid, he spreads it to the rest of the other guys.
You're reaching here. Number one, he tried. He was actually from what I was told, a true game time decision. This was not he wasn't on the injury report. I don't know why. That's a problem for Rutgers and Peichel to figure out there. But he probably should have been listed as questionable from the get go. But he was legitimately very close to playing. It sounds like. From what I was told via someone within the program. And then also, I mean, you could just point to Ron Harper Sr.'s tweet, too. Not the weird one about the guys, the other one about his son. Yeah, Dan, that guy's got to stop on Twitter, too. He's got a problem.
He's funny.
Yeah, he's funny is one way to describe it. But, yeah, no, there's so much wrong with this team. It's actually you watch this team, it's just watching paint dry. It's just, and Ace is cool and all, he's great. Dylan's fucking phenomenal. These are 2 of the top 3 picks in the draft, top 4 picks, whatever you want to say. And then
I wouldn't say it's
the rest of this team's the band of misfit toys, from Elf.
I wouldn't say it's like watching paint dry, because like you said, Dylan and Ace are exciting, so that part is exciting, and they score points, but it's just aggravating because it's if they're just got something, just a little bit of something out of their bench, defensive, rebounding, just average across the board there, this team would probably be one of the better teams in the Big Ten.
Do what Green Bay did.
That's what I was just thinking.
Doug Gottlieb just went out and signed a fucking 24-year-old from Israel who's been playing pro for the past 5 years. Just fuck it. At this point, I need anyone that can score the goddamn basketball. If it takes a 33-year-old from Israel's pro league, I don't care. Give them. I'll fund the NIL fund for you. What's it really going to cost? What kind of dollar amount do they use in Israel? Is there it's not a euro, right?
No, that's a good.
What's the conversion rate?
All these
Maybe
years,
$100
all these years of Hebrew school are going to waste right now, Rich. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
That's Israel's currency.
Shekels?
It is shekels, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he's right. Wow.
See?
All right. Hear me out.
See, Hebrew school not wasted.
$1,000 would get us 37 shekels. I feel like 3,700 shekels. I feel like we could raise this. The TKR NIL fund is starting up, man. This is it. Like, we're doing it.
So you want to use
The
it for
shekel
tzedakah,
drive
is what you're saying.
is starting now.
I'm at a loss of words for this program right now. It's
got to be in values of 18 though, because that's what we do for weddings and bar mitzvahs and stuff. Is that it's always values of 18 because that's the high, and there's reasons behind this.
See,
Richie.
I'm learning something today.
There's levels to this.
0.2% chance right now of making the NCAA tournament per Bart Torvik. Yikes.
0.2. Wow. So you're saying there's a chance?
They're also projected to go 13 and 18.
This is getting me down. Well, if they're going to turn it around, they need to go at least 2-1 in their next 3. All home games. They play Wisconsin, Purdue, and UCLA, I think, the next 3 games on Monday, Thursday, and the following Monday. Let's just hope that they can find a way to win, because they need to. And they've shown the ability to just pull off win streaks against ranked teams, so let's hope they got some more in the bag, because the season is careening off the cliff right now. So let's hope they could find a way to turn it around. That is all I got. Any closing thoughts, guys, before we head out of here?
No, not really, to be honest.
I know people are on the fire Pikel train. He's not getting fired, number one. Number two, like, he's safe. The only way he leaves is if he wants to leave.
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to happen. Could it happen? I don't think it's out of the cards. I think there could be a possibility after this season that Pikel might just say, I'm not doing this NIL thing. I'm not dealing with this. I can go back to, say, like a Stony Brook and be very successful and have my statue put out outside of whatever Stony Brook's arena is called.
The Stony Brook statue.
I think this offseason for basketball is going to be very interesting, too. I know I'm looking way too far ahead because it's not even like the middle point of the season yet, but I think that you'll probably lose an assistant coach. And I really don't know like what's going to happen with Pikel. I think it's going to be very interesting. This new AD is going to have a lot on his plate, from a lot more than I guess he thought, because there was a feeling that football and basketball, the two major revenue programs, were set in stone with their coaches. And now I don't know if that's true anymore. Well, football obviously is safer than safe, but I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I think that these next couple of weeks are going to be very defining of this program, and also not being successful with a 5-star. Not that they were really ever going to be in the mix for another 5-star, to be fair, unless they had connections to Rutgers, because it's the main reason they landed these two. But it's going to be very hard recruiting-wise. I think it's going to be a hard sell on kids. Hey, you want to come play for me? Like, we have open spots. Like, you could shoot the ball as much as you want, but we also didn't make the tournament when we had 2 of the top 3 draft picks. Like, that hurts a ton more than people think, and I don't know. It's just going to be very tough. It's very dependent on what they do over these next few games. And I hate to sound like negative Nancy, but like,
well, you did say 2 or 3. It feels like to really get people to even think about getting excited again. They got to go 3 or 3.
Yeah. No. Well, you mean you have to get them excited? Yes. Yeah. But to make the tournament and build a resume, you only need 2 of the 3.
All right. Well, let's hope they can figure this out and turn it around, because I don't see a lot of hope right now. I've been proven wrong before. But for me and Richie and Craig, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast, signing off.